Hey guys, Insomnia here with our next installment of the hero typing. So the real significance of the hero typing is really heroes can be defined into a couple of subclasses, which is kind of what we're going over with this little video series, making sure you read their skills and their signature item, really knowing what heroes do have to offer in their class beyond just being a tank, can really help you build the formation of not only looking at the team that you're building, but also looking at the team that you're going against. So this is where knowing the heroes and knowing the extensive skill sets or kit of the hero is very, very vital. Today we're going to be looking at two additional hero types, which is one is the nuking heroes and then the scaling heroes. So when we get into the nuking heroes power directly from their ultimate abilities. So with most of these heroes, when their ultimate goes off, very, very high damage, but they are very vulnerable, meaning they are pretty easy to kill. If you can CC them, if you can take them out. Many nuking heroes carry damage for the entire fight. Some of them have the damage over time. Some of them have super high burst damage, but they do lack protection. So these are the heroes that you're going to want to put in the back line to make sure that you can keep them out of harm's way. So the first one we're going to look at is Khazard. His ultimate ability is just absolutely devastating. Does a ton of damage, and then heroes that are 30% or lower actually freezes them. So kind of crazy, similar to Ice Chimera. So they're enveloped in frozen mist for 14 seconds. While the mist is present, enemies will suffer 45% damage per second. So with damage over time, enemies with lower than 30% health will become frozen. So absolutely devastating with the ability. Second one we look at is Athalia with her Divine Fury. Hits the entire board, lightning speed, attacks her enemies with lightning speed, slashing through them 3 times from various positions on the battlefield. Each slash dealing up to 190% damage. Third slash has a 100% critical chance. So she can actually decimate an entire 5-person team with her ultimate ability. With her signature item, it does give her quite a bit of survivability, which is very, very good to have. That's what makes her such a S+ hero. Next hero we look at is, of course, Talene. Talene's Fireborn ability, when she goes into the Phoenix form that lasts until death, converts 90% of her current health into a shield. Talene's normal attacks turn into close range area attacks that deal 150% damage. Talene's normal attacks deal damage equal to 20% of her Fireborn shield, and then an additional shield. So combined with the Fireborn is the Phoenix Rising ability. Every time she dies, she transforms into a fireball. She recovers hit points. When she is reborn, there's a 200% area explosion damage, and the recovery rate is reduced by 20% every time she turns into a fireball. Level 3 is 300. This scales incredibly high with her signature item, which increases attack rating by 10% or 20%, depending on where you have the signature item unlocked, and gives her more energy, which just makes her super, super powerful when it comes to the ability to nuke down heroes. One of the biggest nuke heroes, and if you've ever seen the Falling Sun ability, Sophia focuses her energy over a couple seconds. The orb can deal up to 100% damage, up to 660% damage. So if you've ever watched any of my Mauler videos, when her ultimate goes off, usually anyone it hits, even if they're shielded, has the ability to absolutely just devastate and kill the enemy. But she has to survive enough to get the full ultimate off, which again, with the nuke heroes, they are very vulnerable to CC, because if they can't get the ultimate off, a lot of times it is a defeat. Another one that I love from my Graveborn team is Isabella. Her decimation ability does a ton of damage. She uses the magical totem to cast spells on a random enemy, doing 140% damage, which can be repeated up to 8 times. So that is a truckload damage. Level 3 damage is raised to 160, and she's immune to crowd control. So doing 160% damage 8 times, very, very fast. And her signature item allows her to actually cast faster, which is crazy, making her a super strong burst hero. Another one with ultimate is Pharrell. His Nether Blaze ability Fires demonic arrow that hits all enemies on the battlefield. So if you've actually seen it, he just jumps right above, preventing all enemies that are haunted by evil spirits receive an additional 25% damage per spirit. So when you look at that, spirit attack speeds are increased for 6 seconds and damage increased by 220%. So 25% per damage or per spirit. If you look at his level 30 ability, this ability may stack up to 8 times with the ability for every spirit that's on there. So you can actually stack a ton of damage with him. So when his ult goes off, absolutely devastates with his energy disintegration, and his ult does a ton of damage. One we can never leave out is Shamira with her Tortured Soul. This is a damage over time ability. If you see Soul of the Dead Spirits for 12 seconds, 50% of all damage will be converted into health. Level 3 damage is increased up to 90%, restoring 25% health when dealing damage and gradually restoring health after the ability has finished. So for 12 seconds, she's getting a damage over time ability, which can absolutely devastate the team. It does take her a little while to get the ult off. She is one of the slower ultimate abilities because of some of her skills, where some of the other heroes' ults go off pretty quick, especially with energy regen, which she is very reliant on. But once her ult goes off, she's a very, very solid carry, even through chapter 25, because of the ultimate ability. So we got 2 more here, which one of my absolute favorites, if you've watched any of my videos, is Belinda's Divine Light. Uses her divine power to attack a large area of enemies 4 times. Each successful hit deals 110%. Level 2, damage increase for every successive, so when it hits the same place. Level 3 hits enemies up to 5 times. So 5 times 110 damage. Very, very devastating with the Divine Light ability. Most of the time, if you've watched even my completion of chapter 26 video, when her ult goes off, most of the time the heroes die. That's kind of a given. The other one that not a lot of people really see or use is Gwyneth. Gwyneth's Divine Arrow ability does a ton of damage, but it is situational to where the heroes are placed. When she fires the Divine Arrow into the sky, it splits into multiple arrows that rain down, dealing 210% damage to enemies that are struck and reduce their accuracy. So she's actually nerfing them. The ability cannot be activated if the enemy side of the battlefield is empty. So this is where it kind of comes into play. It hits the opposing side, so it hits the enemy side of the battlefield, actually just rains arrows. So as long as you have heroes like Hendrik or Lucius that can either hold the target or push the target back into the enemy side, you can stack a ton of burst damage with Gwyneth. Hero that I really haven't used that much, and then looking at her signature item, raises her attack rating by 10%, 20%, level 30 is 30%, making a huge difference with her attack rating and the ability to just destroy the enemy side of the battlefield. So that'll conclude it for the nuking heroes. The other part that we want to talk about were scaling heroes. Scaling heroes are heroes that grow more powerful with their match timer. So actually the longer that they're in the battle, the stronger they get. Most of them are pretty weak at the beginning of the match, but when they scale, it gets stronger and stronger. So please don't confuse these with nuking heroes, which power is completely driven by the ultimate. These are heroes that over time get more powerful. So I'm going to go through a list. We're not going to go through and look at exactly everybody, but some of the heroes to highlight are Taylene and the twins. Taylene, damage and team buffs, the heals with her ultimate ability definitely make her a very solid scaling hero, and her signature item, every time she dies and she's reborn, does more damage, more defense. The twins I want to look at because of their haste buff. So once you start getting the haste, your heroes attack faster. As they continue to get more haste, or the frequency of the twins using their ultimate ability, heroes will actually start casting faster and faster, which has a very large scaling capacity. The other one that I want to look at was Cassard, again, because of his ability. Not only does he do damage, as he debuffs the enemy with energy, with haste, with freeze, with heals, everything that is true CC. As he freezes enemies that are below 30%, there's nothing they can do. They actually just sit there. Another hero you don't hear much about is Orthos. Orthos has he has a self-healing, he has a self-cleanse, he has self-health, which if you look at his ability, Celestial Figure, Max health is increased 2.5 per second up to 150%. Level 3, after 30 seconds of battle, he becomes immune to crowd control. So if he can survive the first 30 seconds, he is 100% immune, which doesn't matter who you have. Crowd control abilities will not hurt him. So again, he is a hero that scales huge with time. Another one is Manira. When you look at her skill set, she has damage. She has team buffs through the haste and energy with her whiplash ability. She debuffs the enemy. So the survivability of her is very high, and she has the ability to actually control. She can dominate a battle if you've seen her, just because of her skill set. Some of the more frequently used heroes, of course, which are Pharrell again, because his damage and the enemy's debuffs, CC energy heals. If you're losing 15 energy at the beginning of the battle, great. If you're losing 15 energy, if you look every 3 seconds, then even better. So as the battle progresses and spirits are up on more and more enemies, they are going to lose more and more energy as the battle goes on. A couple other to mention are Almas. Almas has a self-cleanse, a damage, a CC, a heal, and he uses shield and healing with team buffs. So when you look at his overall skill set, with Life Torrent, just over time, as long as they're restoring 5% of lost hit points, so it makes a very big difference over time. Withering Roots, again, with the entanglement, they cannot use any attack. So again, he is nerfing their energy, because when you can't attack, you're not gaining your energy. Forest Oath gives shields and then a signature item actually after the rework. Forest Oath will be received by 3 allies, so a bunch of shields there, a bunch of heals. And then when he is rooted, energy required to strengthen normal attacks is reduced by 30%, and he gets more strength, or more attack rating. So very solid hero there. Isolde is another hero that a lot of people don't use, but his survivability is very high, just for the fact that he has a self-haste, he has a damage, and he has a CC. So he has the ability through Needle Strike to stun, and Hypodermic Needle restores 20% of lost hit points per second, so he brings his own heal. So a true carry hero. Not only does he do a AoE attack, or an AoE, I guess, over time, Noxus Explosion occurs every 6 seconds, dealing 190% damage and stunning enemies. So not only is he doing damage, is he doing stuns. His ultimate ability utilizes a powerful chemical agent that restores 50% of his health. So again, he has a secondary heal there, increasing his haste and increasing his attack for 18 seconds on level 3. So very powerful hero. But again, if you've ever fought him, if he's up for usually the first 30 seconds of battle, he's very difficult to kill. If you can get these heroes down early, they don't have the time to scale. One or two more, which another one that a lot of people have found the scaling coefficient is Astrilda. Her Inspire, which brings back energy. Again, the more times you get this, the better it's going to be. But the big thing is her signature item with that. If you look at the signature item, so when she's using Inspire, raises allies' attack rating 5% and defense rating 10% every non-summon creatures that falls in combat. But when you look at 10, 20, and 30, raises attack rating by 7.5 and defense rating by 15 every time the ability is used. So again, with scaling, if she's using the ability every so many seconds, the more time that she gets to use it throughout the battle, the better, which makes her scale very well. Warwick is another one that I haven't used very much, but I definitely want to focus on because of his damage and his self-healing. Anyone who carries self-healing has the ability to remove negative effects. He can mitigate damage upon himself with a shield, and I believe allowing him to raise his damage, so that one does more damage. I believe the self-heal, damage received is reduced by 80% when using the ability. This is his stun ability. Signature item, that is his health regeneration. When he uses Cardinal Range, the ability cannot be stacked any further. He will recover 3% of health every 15 seconds, which goes all the way up to 5% health and more damage with his Cardinal Rage ability, which is this one. Passive ability that allows Warwick to build up his rage, that allows him each successful attack that lands on enemies, allowing him to raise his damage. This ability can stack up to 12 times. Warwick regenerates energy over time once the ability is fully stacked, and his life leech attributes are greatly increased. So putting him with a K-Sauce, very, very powerful. And again, a super good scaling hero. 2 more scaling heroes left, and that will sum it up for the video. First one is Grizzled. Once you know his signature item, gets a skeleton up every 9 seconds. Once he starts getting skeletons up, and the skeletons can heal him when they die, very, very hard to get him down. If you've watched any of my Graveborn videos, a lot of times he will stay up and the timer will run out because the enemy just cannot kill him because of the summons that he's bringing up. So he has a very, very large scaling capacity. And the very last one we're going to look at is Arthur. His self-damage and his enemy debuffs for his ability to not only create his own shields, which is right, I think it's this one, his main ability. When he claims Excalibur, Arthur's normal attacks will be greatly. Any subsequent use of the ability will deal 80% AoE damage, which is damage is increased. So the longer that you use him, especially with his signature item, which raises the frequency of normal attacks, raises up the crit rating and his raises up the crit rating of allies standing behind him. And he has a self-recovery of 5% maximum health every second when there are 2 or more rallied allies on the battlefield. And he is also completely immune to crowd control. So very, very good hero. Like I said, with a lot of the scaling heroes, if you can get them down quicker, you don't give them the ability to buff up a lot or actually get a lot stronger. Because like when Isolde uses his ability, when Grizzled gets his minions up, when Almus is rooted, a lot of the heroes, when they have their ability up, when Warwick is fully charged with his shield, very, very difficult to kill the heroes because the scaling just gets out of control to a point. So this will conclude it for the 3rd series of the video for the hero typing. Thank you to Newton for all the information. We got a couple more videos, and then we'll get into the formation guide, kind of making the formations, making the enemy comp formations, seeing kind of who to use against who. So let me know in the comments what you guys think, how you guys are liking the guide. Again, as always, if I missed anything, please let me know. And as always, thank you guys for watching.